Good evening. I am Count Abraham, and you might know me as the spookiest guy around. And don't worry, I won't be doing this voice the whole video. It's Halloween time, y'all. A time of sweets, costumes, and of course,
pure evil!
as I've grown older, I found myself less and less enraptured with Halloween. Probably because I end up stuck working my part-time job, so I can't really go out and enjoy the holiday. And even then, what would I do? Go trick-or-treating? I'm in my 20s. No, for me, it's not Halloween that I'm into. It's the Halloween season. Decorations, scary games.
Was that the bite?
Nothing gets me going like seeing a big-ass skeleton on someone's lawn. But the only tradition I've kept up my entire life when it comes to Halloween is watching every Halloween special I could think of, each and every year. Billy and Mandy, Gravity Falls, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, sometimes. I would watch them all over and over and over. It actually got to the point this year where I ended up getting sick of them since I've seen them all so much. It's a hell of my own design. A pumpkin-riddled, spooky, but not quite scary because that's too much for family shows. Hell. Well, whatever. Maybe what we need to spice things up is our own Halloween specials. So for today's video, what do you say we take a look into fusions?
She's alive! She's alive! She's alive!
I wanted to do something fun for Halloween, and since drawing videos seem to be my niche, I figured I should stick to that. You see, I've got a big list of names on a wheel, not to brag, which I use when me and my friends need something to talk about. For instance, who would you rather have as your personal assistant? Glomgold from DuckTales or Elle from Death Note? Okay, that's an easy pick, but you get my point. Because of how fun it is, I've made even more wheels and even used them to motivate me into drawing. For example, when I drew a fusion because I spun the wheel twice and got Cusco and Luigi. Look at him. Don't you just love him?
You threw off my groove!
So for this video, I went ahead and took 5 characters that I both really like, and I thought you would like to see, and spun my latest creation, the Monster Wheel. That's right, today, this Halloween, we're taking some of my favorite cartoon characters and fusing them with Halloween monsters. And maybe pondering a potential plot of an episode revolving around these fusions. Again, I warned you that this is becoming more and more fanficky. You subscribed, you caused this. Now, without further ado, let's sink our teeth into some fusions. I'm done, I promise. Zombies are a pretty normal occurrence in the Land of Ooo, with the first episode of Adventure Time literally being a zombie outbreak in the Candy Kingdom. While Frankenstein's monster isn't explicitly a zombie, he definitely qualifies to a degree considering he's built out of a whole bunch of dead body parts. I don't know, man, if it looks like a zombie, it smells like a zombie, it might just be a zombie. And in Ooo, the only person I remember who has some kind of connection to zombies is Princess Bubblegum. So I figured we could take it like this. Imagine you're Princess Bubblegum, you're stuck relying on this young hero to protect you and your kingdom time and time again. But unfortunately, he dies. He's not immortal like the rest of your kingdom, so what do? Build yourself a new one. A new hero, that is, not kingdom. In this hypothetical special, I imagine Finn being reconstructed and rebuilt by PB so she could once again have a valiant hero protecting her kingdom. But his horrid appearance scares off the residents of Ooo, and Finn ends up being seen as a monster. Just like in the original story, the monster will be hunted down by the townspeople who are too scared to understand something different from them. Although honestly, considering how stupid the candy people are, I bet Finn could just show up in a mask and they would still think he's some kind of unseen beast that they've never recognized.
Well, I'll just wait for you here then, with my back turned and my defenses lowered.
While his outward appearance is basically just Finn in a Frankenstein's monster costume, I decided to make the bolts on his neck peppermints, just for that flair to show PB was the one behind it. Or you could also take it as her needing peppermint butlers helped rebuild Finn, since he also has a connection to the dead. Anyways, for this hypothetical Halloween special, I'll call this Bubblegum's Monster. Am I doing this? Am I going all in on the fan-made Halloween special idea? Looks like it. So, I don't think there's a better example of clashing concepts than Steven Universe and a killer robot. Steven is all about violence as a last resort. He's compassionate, has a big heart, and is driven by his love for people. A killer robot is not. Honestly, I feel like the best way to do this would be to interpret this Metal Sonic style, because who doesn't love a good evil twin? There's so many ways to go about it. There's the evil secret sibling, an evil clone, or in our case, an evil robot. I personally find the idea of a machine trying its hardest to copy people but not getting it quite right to be
found AI could replace
be
300 million full-time jobs, including
Write a memo about laying off 10% of our company.
So real.
I really worry, particularly at the entry level.
But also cool. Take, for instance, the Nalgian Destroyer from Ben 10, an alien mimicry box that copies whatever you show it as well as it can.
Whoa. Whoa.
While fighting the main cast, Ben ends up shooting fireballs at it as swamp fire. Trying to copy this, it shoots out these red metal balls. Same thing happens when Gwen tries to shoot it with mana, so it flings out a bunch of pink discs. This is kind of what I imagined for our robot copy of Steven, a flawed duplicate. There's a million explanations that could be given for where this came from after all. By the end of the show, we get it explained quite clearly that there will always be some people who want to see Steven dead, so we can just assume someone maybe wanted to frame Steven or just build something capable of destroying him. I designed Robot Steven to keep the same silhouette of Steven, but dulled the colors to make sure he seemed more lifeless. I also made sure to cover him in lots of grime and filth just to make it look more like he's been causing mayhem for quite some time now. Actually, now that I look at him, this feels like one of those FNAF animatronification kind of things where people turn regular characters into animatronics. I swear, I'm not some crazy FNAF head, okay? Okay? Anyways, I'd imagine he has lots of powers to specifically counter Steven. Strength and speed to match Steven's, as well as the ability to produce harmful smog and tar, that way he can hurt anything Steven tries to heal. And of course, his shield. A dense light projection similar to the biology of gems, which of course makes it vulnerable to being disrupted and broken. I like to call this story The Robot. Yeah, I know, real creative. Also, I'm just gonna say this now, I know about Steven Universe gone wrong, you don't need to tell me. I feel like nobody talks about the Owl House anymore, which, to be fair, is probably because anyone who was a fan of it is too busy salivating over Dana Terrace's new show, Night to Guinevere. Well, that doesn't mean we can't take a step back to look at Disney's dirty little secret. A show with a bi-protagonist. If only I had pearls to clutch. Jokes aside, combining a character like Luz with any kind of monster would work. Her character is so chaotic and energetic that she'd probably be ecstatic to be turned into any kind of scary creature. So we'll be going with that. Luz did this intentionally. For this hypothetical special, we'll say that the Boiling Isles was having a classic monster contest, a competition to determine who could be the scariest thing imaginable. Luz, wanting to be able to participate, asks Ida for help. Ida, wanting to see the townspeople freak out and panic for laughs, couldn't say yes faster. So, at Luz's request to be turned into a monster she feels deserves more love for their oh-so-kissable lips, is turned into the creature from the Black Lagoon. I know it's a cliche idea for a plot, but that's what's always so nice about the Owl House. It took a lot of these classic, cliche tropes for a fantasy show and twisted it on its head by being like, here's that, but absolutely horrible. At least, as horrible as you can get on Disney Channel. Seriously, it's no surprise Knights of Guinevere ended up the way it did. Dana Terrace is a force of madness held back only by the restrictions of TV PG television. Anyways, for this story, I like to call it The Luz from the Black Lagoon. Easy job, no need to think about it, no need to delve, it's an adventure. Kane, in his insistent need to make adventures as ungodly and terrifying as possible, decides to send the gang on a classic treasure hunt in the famous and beloved world wonder, the Kane Sphinx. The cast is split into teams of 3v3, the treasure hunters who need to collect the treasure, and the mummies who need to protect the treasure. Not much else to say about this, I just thought it'd be fun to draw a character from a much more recent cartoon, and Pomni is probably one of the most prominent characters from animation in the current decade, in the worst way possible. I was actually reluctant to try and do this Pomni design since she's a 3D character, but luckily there are enough 2D drawings done by the TADC staff for me to use as reference. So as much as I hate to break your hearts, I won't be making a 3D model of Mummy Pomni yet. But for the drawing I did do, I just decided to simply wrap Pomni up in some classic Mummy bandages, as well as change up her colors to be more like the shiny blues and gold I saw in a lot of the Mummy reference pictures I found. As for her eyes, I just thought it would help her look more spooky, despite the goofy snake head on her hat. Anyways, let's get this one done nice and easy. I'll call this story The Curse of the Kane Sphinx. And we finally got to my favorite of the drawings. Look, there's a million stories you could tell when it comes to a Gravity Falls Halloween, none of which would compare to the absolute masterpiece that is Summerween. But daring to defy against the clear words of God, we will try. So in this story, I imagine the town is being attacked by a rampaging werewolf every night. To take advantage of this, Stan starts selling werewolf repellent at the Mystery Shack, which flies off the shelves in droves. Dipper and Mabel, wanting nothing more than a good mystery, and more so just to have a new puppy in Mabel's case, they go on the hunt at night for a werewolf, only to find Stan was the werewolf the whole time. He got himself infected by a werewolf he dissed in the Gravity Falls supermarket. Bringing us to today. Now he lives his life as a rampaging, disgusting beast with no concept of public decency, and then he does the same thing at night, but with more chest hair.
Can I scratch myself now?
Attacking the town at night, only to sell them the werewolf repellent during the day, which, you know, is just air freshener. I used the reference photos from when Stan fought zombies, as I thought this was the best look for Stan that shows his more broad figure, as well as showing his suit is disheveled. For this story, I like to call it An American Werewolf in Oregon. Oh wait, no. How about Big Bad Stan? Or No Longer a Teen Wolf? Okay, there's a lot of werewolf names you could do. And that's it. 5 monster fusions done with some of my favorite cartoon characters, as well as some basic ideas for some hypothetical Halloween specials. It's like Tales from the Crypt, but bootleg. I don't know, maybe one day it'd be fun to do a more storytelling kind of video where I do more drawings for each of the hypothetical scenarios. Let me know if that kind of thing would interest you guys. Anyways, I've been doing this long enough to know that most of you don't stick around for the outro, so let's just get out of here so we can all enjoy the season. Like, subscribe, all the other fun stuff the algorithm wants me to say, and of course, have a happy Halloween and stay cool.